There is growing concern in the U.S. over a series of mysterious drone sightings. The Biden administration is saying it is probing the sightings. But from mystery, these drones are now becoming a national security issue. Lawmakers from Biden's party also want clear answers from the White House. The Trump team has proposed an Iron Dome to protect American skies from the drone menace.
It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's a drone. And it's causing alarm across America. From the mystery, it's now turned into a growing frustration among Americans.
It's hard to really describe it. I see the lights, the red and green, blinking on and off. They're pretty high. Some of them are low.
I think maybe it's a helicopter. No, it's not a helicopter. Then suddenly it gets closer and it's hovering right over the trees, and it looks like, I guess, an enormous drone? I'm not even sure what it... I've never seen anything like it. It's just a drone on steroids.
Drones have been observed flying over residential neighborhoods, restricted areas, and critical infrastructure. Since the first sightings in New Jersey in mid-November, the drones have spread to at least 6 states: New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Virginia. The unanswered question of who is behind these flights and their intentions is causing alarm. Security experts argue that in an era when drones have revolutionized warfare, ignoring the risks could leave the US dangerously vulnerable. The Biden administration is trying to downplay these incidents.
We have not seen any foreign, we know of no foreign involvement with respect to the sightings in the Northeast, and we are vigilant in investigating this matter, the Department of Homeland Security, with the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the lead.
Despite official claims that most sightings involve manned aircraft, the US lawmakers from both Republican and Democrats are expressing mounting frustration at the government's lack of transparency.
For weeks, we've asked for the truth and action to mitigate any and all threats to people and property. Now, we are demanding it.
People who have questions about these drones should not have to shake an 8-ball to get an answer. They want real answers, and the Robin can supply those answers, and that's why we want them here. So this is a broader and better response to the technology than we now have, and we need them deployed.
Trump's team proposes an ambitious Iron Dome for America, drawing inspiration from Israel's missile defense system. This comprehensive approach would extend beyond traditional missile threats to include drone-specific countermeasures, recognizing the evolving nature of aerial warfare. The unresolved questions surrounding these drone operations, their origin, operators, and potential objectives, create a climate of uncertainty that threatens national security. Each unexplained flight represents a potential breach in America's defensive infrastructure. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Gabriel Noronha is a former special advisor for Iran at the U.S. State Department and the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and Executive Director of Polaris National Security, is now joining us live on this broadcast. Mr. Noronha, thank you very much for making time for us, and welcome to the broadcast. Let me just start by asking you, what do you make of this White House National Security Advisor saying that the United States needs an Iron Dome? Will that work? Does it really need an Iron Dome system?
Well, thank you for having me, and welcome to the program. The issue here is that what if these drones were actually attacking American facilities, and that instead of hovering around sensitive sites, they were suicide drones armed with explosives and attacking. The issue here is the paralysis that the United States military and government has shown so far, and we are lucky that they are just harmless so far. But they could be gathering intelligence, gathering all sorts of signals, information, and eavesdropping on phone calls. And so, yes, it's important that we do have an Iron Dome system so that if Russia or China or Iran decided to have a mothership off the U.S. coast and fly thousands of drones, that we would be able to react defensively before our offensive capabilities could actually go and destroy those vessels. What we have to recognize now is that drones are a new part of warfare. They are cheap, they can have large volumes of them, and we have to be much more agile in responding to this new threat.
Mr. Noronha, there has been concerns about these drones over the past week. Americans don't have an answer as to why the drones are flying over their airspace, and the government seems not to have an answer as to where these drones are coming from. So what is the current government, the outgoing government of Biden, going to do to address these concerns?
So drones have always been a very difficult issue for the U.S. government to deal with because they overlap across so many different parts of the government. There's the Defense Department, there's the Air Travel Association part of the government, there's the Homeland Security part of the government, and they don't talk to each other very well. And what we've resulted in here is a complete breakdown, both of coordination of identifying the threat, responding to the threat, and then communicating it to the American people in any coherent manner. And so what they've said now is that they can't shoot down any of the drones because they do not have a policy which allows them to do that. Again, this is sort of the U.S. government at its worst when it is large and spread out and not taking decisive action. Mm-hmm. Americans are getting quite worried. They are receiving no information from the U.S. government. Now, in reality, I think what we're seeing is that some of these drones are in fact commercial airplanes. Some of these are just hobbyists. But there's the big question of, is there another actor that's controlling all of these things? Mm-hmm. This shouldn't be difficult for the U.S. government to find out. And the fact that this is taking months is very, very concerning.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Mr. Gabriel Noronha, thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
Thanks for having me.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.